All right, this is the next resource and probably the most important resource you're going to need to be able to identify car keys. Let's say you've tested if the key has a transponder in it, but you're not sure what other information there is. These are the manuals that you're going to use to pretty much find out most of what you need to know about a car key. So these are the 2019 Autosmart foreign book and then the domestic book. So the foreign book is all the Japanese vehicles, Korean makers, German, etc. Here are all the American brands, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and so forth. And so depending on what type of vehicle your customer has, you will be using one of these books. So what I will do is we'll use an example of my vehicle. So let's say it's a 2011 Honda CR-Z. We don't know much about it. Let's say a customer comes in with just a transponder key and it's laser cut, but he's like, hey, I want a remote or a key combo with it. And he doesn't know much more about it. And you need to find out, what key to order, and more information to be able to let him know. So you're the expert, you need to be familiar with this book. So try to get familiar with it. I'm going to go over it so that you have an idea of what type of content is within each section. So let's say if it's a 2011 Honda CR-Z, we will go to, if you notice, there's these tabs right here. It basically is, all the different car brands. Acura, Honda, Audi, Volkswagen, BMW, Daewoo, Fiat, Alfa, etc. So if it's a Honda, you go to the Honda section, you open up the tab, you go over and you find the vehicle. So you'll see at the top, it says make, model, year, type, section, page. The make is the car manufacturer's brand, and then the model of the vehicle, the year that it was made, the type of key, and the section it is in, and the page that the information is on. So what we do is here you see it's the Acura side. We want to look at Honda because it's a Honda CR-Z. So we look at first the make, then we go down to the model. So Honda CR-Z Hybrid is right there. I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit so you can see. Okay, so you see the year, key type, section, page. So we look up Honda CR-Z. It's a hybrid. We want to find the year. The year is the 2011, so we know it's this one. Two types. It's going to be the proximity or the key. Key stands for basically any type of key, non-chip, chip, key combo, and also the flip and the phobic. Those pretty much fall under key. Proximity types are the smart keys. So you'll notice that majority of the newer vehicles are the ones that have the proximity. So that's just the gauge. I don't know exactly what year the proximities came out, but it's in the later years or the earlier years now. So like the 2015s and above tend to have the smart key or proximity key. In our instance right here, we're looking at a Honda CR-Z 2011. We know it's a key, and we go to the page that it's on. You don't skip over to the next section. So you have to go within the section. It's page 50. So we'll flip through, page, let's see. Okay, page 50, here we go. So looking at this, you will be able to find out majority of what you need to know about the key itself. So keys tend to overlap. So the Honda CR-Z Fit Insight Ridgeline has a similar type of key. And so this is the information that you'll need as you're looking at this manual. So we have here, let's try to get a closer view of that. The code for the key is right here. This is the key code. Style of the key is high security. So usually it's a laser cut key. Card number, all this stuff. Don't really need to know. This right here is for the master key. So this is just the key to either start the vehicle or open the door. Now, if you see these names right here, like National, Keyline, Ilco, Jet, JMA, Stratec, Dealer, these are different brands. So all these different brands have, they manufacture an aftermarket key of the original Honda key. So they have different names for it. This is where it can be confusing. You know, like National, they name the same key, the Han V4 TRK. Keylines is BH002PT. Ilco is HO03PT. Jet is HD112 PHD. So the names are all different, but it's the same key. What we tend to use here is Ilco. So most of the times you'll find Ilco, or our secondary one that we tend to use is Keyline. So Ilco or Keyline is majority of what we use. More information here. You don't know about this yet, but basically Lishi is a brand of key picking tools, and they tell you which one you need to be able to pick a car key so you can figure out the key code to cut the key if you're in an all keys lost situation. Basically, the customer lost all their keys and they need a brand new one. That's the tool that you're going to need for it. Test key right here. What that means is this one has a chip in it, or a transponder. So how you read this is P is plastic and T is transponder. So you know it's plastic and it has a chip inside. Oh, I don't think you can see where I pointed at. Let me zoom out a little bit. So you know it's plastic and there's a chip inside. Now the test key is literally just this blade plus the head. It could be just all metal head or plastic, but it has no chip in it. It's a way where you can test a key to make sure it works before you cut a very expensive key. So keep that in mind. Okay, so what we do here is we look at Honda CRZ 2011, 2015. This is the remote key. That name is basically the name that the dealer gave for this key. So we look down 35118, 35118. So this is the key that is the OEM key, which is the original equipment manufacturer. So it's made by Honda. This is the name that they have for this key, and this is the right key. Now, this HO03PT is just the key with the chip, okay? Now, this is the key combo. Now you might be wondering, okay, well, how do I find this key now? So you can either order this online, and this is in the later sections that talks about ordering. So we're not going to get too much into that, but I wanted to just go over this so you have a good feel of how this manual works. So here there's some more information. Space and depth. This is basically if you are originating a key. You don't need to get too much into this, but it gives you the depth cuts. What that means is that 1 through 6, those are cuts, how deep a cut is on the key. So most keys, just like regular keys, they rest on pins. So the key cut will allow a pin to rest on it, and these are the different depths of the cuts. Most keys tend to be different, but these are the cuts specifically for this Honda and these other Hondas. Programming and diagnostic tools. This basically it lets you know what tools you would need to program the vehicle, which one works, like T-Code, MVP Pro. These are different programming tools. Smart Pro is the one that we have, and it works obviously. Pin code required, only with IHDS. Don't need to know too much about this, but this is just basically telling you which programming tools work. Let's move up to this section over here. I'm gonna zoom in. Okay, this section right here basically tells you about the transponder. Here is the chip type that's used on the Honda CRZ and these other Hondas. These are the cloner machines that you can use. So what this means is, and we have a section on cloning down in the lower modules, but cloning is basically, you're not programming a key, you're basically taking a customer's key, their existing key, and you're copying the exact same code that's on it onto a new blank key. So you actually bypass the programming and you're just pretty much just copying it. So the car itself doesn't know that a new key is being used on the car. It's simply a duplicate of the original key that the customer has. So the duplicate is by the car is seen as the same key. But when you program a new key to a car, it's considered another key, and the system recognizes that it's not the same as the original key. So that might be a little confusing, but when we go to the cloning sections and the further sections down below, you will understand what I'm talking about. And this is if you are actually making a key. We don't need to deal with this too much, but this is information if you ever need to actually cut a key, and you have this information. So most of these are pretty much the same thing. It gives you an idea. It gives you information about the key. And that's how you use the manual. You get a better feel of what type of key it has, what options are available, and you get to find out more about the key code type, etc. Key codes over here, we'll explain that when we are originating keys, basically meaning you're making a key when there's no current key in your hand. So meaning a customer lost all their keys and you need to make a new one. It helps having this code. It's also used when you need to decode a key, meaning you have a customer's key, but it's worn down, so you want to bring it back to factory cut. So you want it to make it nice and original again. And so you can decode this through a machine that will allow you to find out the right cut on it, but you need this key code. It's a series. Basically telling the machine, hey, look at this type of information so that it can pull up this data on the type of cuts that this particular key needs. A little confusing, but once we go into the decoding section in key origination, you'll know what I'm talking about. But that's it. That is the Autosmart book. This is their newest one, and this is the domestic one that we have. These are going to be super useful when you are looking up information about a vehicle. We also have, the other resources, the transponder detector, getting their VIN number, calling the dealer. But hands down, this is going to be one of the most important tools that you're going to need as an auto locksmith.